I'm be totally honest with you, and I know we got to get back to our topics. We already a few minutes in. I'd rather feeling black than African American because Africans don't even fuck with us.
Wow.
Because they don't.
And Americans do?
Well, you're American, Mace. You're born in America. When you go to the Olympics, and when I say African American, you over there, they call us Yankees and all that. They fuck with us, but we're not from the motherland. We're from America. So I'd rather say I'm a black American. When we go to the Olympics as a country, and somebody black is fighting from the United States, you don't say African American. You say American. You don't even put a color on it. It's an American fighter fighting a European fighter, or China or Japanese or anything. You're known in the Olympics as an American. It doesn't matter what color you are. You're an American fighting against somebody from Cameroon or Senegal, whatever. The point being is they don't categorize it when it's world competition, but when it's other shit, it needs to be categorized. So I consider myself a black American. I don't consider myself African American. And shout out to all my niggas in Africa. Much love. But y'all don't consider us real Africans.
Yep. What's up, everyone? It's Wick Felix TV. So today I'm going to do a reaction video to some recent comments that were made by Cam'ron. I know this is like not totally recent at internet time because things change every day, but this has been like in a month old, so I wanted to talk about it. And generally, I'm going to talk about the idea of blackness and identity, particularly in the United States, and how people can kind of pick and choose on who's right and who's wrong, especially when certain people say the same things, and I'll get into that very soon. The United States Census Bureau collects race data in accordance with guidelines provided by the United States Office of Management and Budget, known as the OMB, and these data are based on self-identification. The racial categories included in the census questionnaire generally reflects a social definition of race recognized in this country and not an attempt to define race biologically, anthropologically, or genetically. In addition, it is recognized that the categories of the race item include racial and national origin or socio-cultural groups. People may choose to report more than one race to indicate their racial mixture, such as American Indian and or white. People who identify their origin as Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish may be any race. Black or African American is a person having origins in any of the Black racial groups of Africa. It includes people who indicate their race as Black or African American, or report responses such as African American, Jamaican, Haitian, Nigerian, Ethiopian, or Somali. The category also includes groups as Ghanaian, South African, Barbadian, Kenya, Liberian, Bahamian, etc. Y'all get the point, right? Cam'ron basically is reported as the sons of Caribbean immigrants. And Raven-Symoné is the daughter of parents from the USA. And I just think it's interesting how they both align with blackness, despite one being like first generation, particularly maybe Cam'ron being a first generation American and Raven-Symoné having probably generations of ancestors here in the United States particularly. Yeah, both of them did say that they rather be labeled as American rather than African American. And I'm just want to talk about that a little bit more. Now I'm going to talk about like the double bias and how Cam'ron saying this in an interview has already been said by Raven-Symoné. But when Raven said it, she was basically attacked. It's ironic because the rest of the world generally thinks like this. Like if I go abroad, yeah, they see that I'm Black, but they'll say that I'm American. And it's not that people, again, don't see race. It's just generally people identify people through their nationality because it's usually synonymous with their culture. Even though African Americans are different and people would argue we have more style than other, we are still American. Now, when Raven said this, a lot of people saw that it was dismissive and she was a sellout. And I think it's for a few reasons. One, a lot of people don't value what Black women say. Let's just be real. And two, it's because how Raven is presented now, she transitioned from like the cute girl who was heterosexual and normal as being looked at as gay or weird, especially when she decided that she didn't want to do acting anymore and she wanted to embody her own autonomy. Aside from her saying she didn't want to be labeled, which was strange because she did label herself, she basically said the same thing that Cameron said.
There's just a difference. There are many African Americans, especially in 2018, that come over from Africa and come here and need the green card. You're first generation African American. That's how I look at that title.
Okay.
My family, I did my research, I'm not going to go into that, but there's a lot of black Americans who've been here longer than the Americans that are a different color. Why can't we have just one name?
She said, I did not say that I am not black. I said that I am from Louisiana and I'm American. Aside them from being from like two totally different geographical places, they both said that they were American. To me, it's perfectly fine. There have been racial codes and categories set up in this country. So whether someone identifies as black or not, or if they want to say they're African American or not, I personally don't care. I just have an issue with anti-blackness, especially how people perpetuate that in different ways, which you will probably notice in a lot of my videos. The United States has a long history of dehumanizing black people, from being labeled as property to Negro, colored, and everything in between. I think that is why many black Americans continue to reaffirm themselves as means of autonomy and pride. Like when they think of blackness, because we've been called this in the United States again, and a lot of other names, at one point, and even today, it's a lot of times depicted as something bad or wicked or anything arise with blackness. But a lot of African Americans or black people have said, I'm okay with being black. It's not the worst thing in the world to be. I think, again, that we have constantly tried to relabel ourselves or be relabeled for various reasons. I tell people all the time, I'm a Memphian by ways of Sierra Leone and the Atlantic slave trade. I'm also a black woman, and I'm American, and I'm African. In fact, I'm African American, and it's okay. I'm not dismissing anything. We're still colonized people, and I think a lot of these arguments are trauma-based. When I was abroad, again, I was American, and when I went to get treatment abroad, there was no category for black or American. It was just like, do you come from any of these racial groups? Are you a descendant of Africa? Are you a descendant of Europe? Are you a descendant of Asia? Like, those were the races when I was in the hospital abroad. And I checked African in the hospital. So I've been loved and hated as a black woman, and I've also been discriminated against while carrying my husband's West African last name. I see both sides of the argument. I can easily carry my English name and not be discriminated against just the same. So it's just a lot of privileges and a lot of bias and a lot of just conversations around identity. And again, my entire issue is, do you accept yourself? Do you love yourself? Like, what does blackness mean to you? And I think that's very important. So that's all I got to say about this topic. Let me know what y'all think down below. How do you identify? And do you care what people call you, whether it's black or African American or American or whatever? And thank you so much for listening to Looks and Looks TV. I'll see y'all next time.
Listen, what I learned from The View is everybody has a different way of thinking, right? Everybody has an opinion. My mama said they're like booty holes. Everybody got one. So
Classic mom wisdom.
Classic mom wisdom. So here's the deal. Things that I said, they call me living room conversation girl. I probably should have worded it differently, but I have to say this. I learned what I'm good at and I learned what I'm not good at. And the things that I said, I'm personally not going to rehash because I learned my lesson. I moved forward. And when I get asked a question of a sensitive matter, I try not to go right to racism. I try not to go right to, the pain and suffering. I'm trying to live in my now, and that can be difficult. And I didn't take that into consideration all the time because I'm so used to living in the, how am I going to change the now? How am I going to change the now? And, it was a challenging moment for me in my career, and I learned a lot and what not to do and what not to say. And, that's what I have to say about that.